uh, what I'm trying to present here is how to make a basic education program disaster proof, meaning how it should be tough and robust so that many interventions and unanticipated events will not disturb the learning of the children. Or I'm looking at basic education. Very similar things can be done for higher education also. Uh, so the motivation to look at this is we have updated, upskilled, and put tremendous amount of resources and training on people in the ICT domain. That's how this mobile and internet and online MOOCs and so many things that have come, both in Karnataka, which is in the forefront, and also other states. Unfortunately, there seems to be more emphasis at higher level institutions like IISc, NIT, and engineering colleges. They also look at service sector jobs, very large, little over 2 lakh employees. But what is actually missing is creating human resources in ICT, which can look at tasks relating to development of society rather than just employment in a low-end coding job. We also need to look at ICT and other things directly related to not giving a job so that they earn some money and pay a tax, but directly look at issues of poverty, quality of life, equitable and cost-effective justice, uh, many other things which are not directly addressed. Okay. So this is an innovative program which I was able to get funding from UGC. It was a grant of about 23 lakhs spread over 5 years, plus a full-time professor salary for me. I planned a 2-year PG diploma of 4 semesters because going through approvals for a PG degree is a very laborious, painful task. And this is the experience of having done the first 2 semesters. One of the things that is independent of disaster is what kind of education is actually really useful, and various components of that. The first thing is the education needs to be quite liberal in the sense you should not have various barriers. For example, I had a PG diploma from which anybody with any bachelor's degree, science, arts, commerce, physical education, mental, dental, all were allowed, okay? Which means concerns of society should be everybody's concern. It cannot be that only people who do social work should look at problems of society. Okay? Because you have to support a very liberal, broad-based outlook, you need very diverse subjects. One of the most important subject is field work, which means every discipline of knowledge, including philosophy, actually does some practice on the field, on the street, or on a community, or on an industrial complex, whatever. Actual field work where people actually live in processes. Plenty of laboratory skill, because laboratory is a make-believe system of practice where you may not be able to dissect a human body on the street, but at least you should be able to dissect in the laboratory. Okay. Economics, which is very important because all changes, good or bad, will be shown to be useful or not or sustainable, mainly on economic parameters. Sociology, because we need to deal with a society. We need sustainable development because no development today is sustainable. It causes newer problems which are more harder. For example, we had a problem of poverty. We introduced industrialization. Industrialization really created problems of pollution, which has now caused a problem of global warming, which is now a universal problem. So slowly, the Western society problem of industrialization has now become a global problem of warming and climate. Okay. We also need social work. We need ICT because everybody uses internet, everybody uses mobile phone, handheld devices, so on. Subject on environment is needed because everybody's common concern, whether we are directly affected, directly affecting or not. And some software subjects because people need to develop ICT solutions. What is very important in education is education has to be intense. Today, education predominantly is a time pass. Time pass for teachers, more time pass for students. We had 3 semesters courses. We had 2 summer terms. Approximately 120 days of vacation was actually effectively used. And 1 semester project, 2 winters of skilling. Winter vacation was also used for imparting very high levels of skilling, which need not be done in the regular semester. And the education needs to be very experimental because we know old things are not useful. We don't know which new things are useful or what new things to introduce, what old things to be done in a different way. So plenty of innovations, best practices, novelties, so on and so forth. Please remember, this was all done in 2007 when we didn't even have a COVID. We were preparing for a very interesting education system. So this was a structure with theory and internal assessment. Almost everything had a lab. 3+1, 3+1, all were 3+1 or 3+3. There was no course without a lab, which means we didn't have pure theory subjects. And even the most difficult of theory subjects were forced to have lab because we wanted to get a feel for what it is to be very practical. And we had one winter skilling, which also had 3 credits. We had 1 summer term of 8 weeks, which also had credits. We had a second winter team also of credits. Another summer term, which means total out of 360 days, about 300 days in a year, students were academically active, which you don't find in any university or any college in India. Maximum is between 180 and 210 days, which means half the year students are having holiday. And unannounced holidays are even more. Somebody dies, some bandh is called. All this basically our education system is indirectly asking students to take everything easy and look forward to a life filled with holidays. See, college is the only time or school is the only time where you can fill things into a students and make them learn. After that, they are on their own. They may not even get time to learn even if they are interested. And most of them, when they start a job, which they will get if they are skilled very well, will not have any interest in learning further. What did they learn before? Very little. Because out of 120 or 180 days of classes that happens, 180 days also very high. Most of them are, laid back. Okay. So the current process is very hostile to students and very, very poor in quality. So we had many experiments and changes done. One idea was to have open book exams and tests, particularly by making sure that all the students have a copy of the textbook given to them free. So today, if you see, bad books you have to buy. Very good books are freely available on the internet PDF version. If not the latest, at least one edition previous to that is available. That is good enough for basic learning. So all the books we prescribed and followed were very good books where copies of it is freely available, so that no student can complain that he or she doesn't have a book, it is too expensive, or it is not available in the library. No such excuses. Everybody has a copy of the book that is being used for almost all the subjects. We also did some interesting way to assess. We gave almost 100% compulsory questions for exams and tests. No choice. See, when you give a choice, what really happens is there is a choice not to study that part, particularly that 5 out of 8. Most students don't study more than 3, sometimes 4. 4 out of 8 is only 50% coverage. That is how they have come up to master's degree, even PhD. Okay. So here we made sure that it is compulsory. Very rarely we gave one choice, 5 out of 6. But most cases we insisted on 5 out of 5, so that everybody studies every portion and they are familiar with the entire content. What is the point in keeping the syllabus when you say 3 out of 5 out of 8 and you did not cover? Okay. As I said, all students have books on the personal computer for use and other books provided to them. Extensive use of internet and library for teaching, learning, tests and exams. Even they can write the exam in the sitting in the library. There is no problem, because the type of questions put are things which need thinking, which need lot of cross references, which means they must have studied it at least once before the test to know what portion is there, where, and so on. Okay. In addition, plenty of seminars, workshops, field trips are components of learning. Okay. Many times we may not have the best teacher for the given subject. It can easily be supplemented by getting one resource person for 1 or 2 days to sum up the entire subject, give all the correct ideas behind. You need not have an outstanding teacher with you, which is rarely available, or even less said, rarely affordable. But interesting people are there in every city who know the subject much better than us. Okay. And we also had very high quality residential workshop, because there you can be very intense. We were keeping the students busy 14 hours a day. In typical urban area, half the time is spent in commuting, going home, coming, lunch break, tea, all kinds of things. Okay. So whereas when we want to give very critical ideas, best is to give them a residential program where they don't have any other issue. They get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They get adequate breaks in the middle, but very intense, perhaps getting some of the best people in the world to teach. All students are given the customized option of self-study of 2 subjects in the program. So out of the 4 semesters, the 4th semester was all project. In the first 3 semesters, every student could pick one subject of their choice. Any subject. Medical, dental, mental, engineering, physics, chemistry, music, dance, any one subject of their choice as an elective. And even if there is only one student taking it, we would provide a teacher or a resource person who could mentor the student to read the correct books and assess him or her. Okay. This is under the mentorship of a faculty who is not in the department, because we can't support all the variety within the college or department. Examination, etc. for this is same as other subjects. And out of all the subject, only one student picked the option. I'll come to that little later. That student wanted to study climate. This was in 2007, where the global warming issue had just started. He said, I think future will be climate related thing, and I want to study climate. There was no climate course anywhere in Karnataka. I think there was no climate course anywhere in India other than one IIT and one Indian Institute of Science. So I contacted the professor in Indian Institute of Science. I told him, one student wants to learn about climate. Can you mentor him for a semester? Give him a syllabus for one subject, give him the reading material, and kindly assess him so that we are fair and professional on that. Okay. We also had a summer term course on entrepreneurship and leadership, with examination having 50% oral component. And because entrepreneurship is highly domain centric, we had customized question paper for each of the students, because each student came from different background. Two were BA, two were BCom, one was engineering, one was physical education. So depending on their background, they wanted to do entrepreneurship in their orientation. And so we had given different question papers for each of them in the specific orientation. Plus, many things cannot be written. So the 50% was oral, where they could explain what they are thinking, how they are feeling, what they want to do, why is it that they want to do in a certain way, so on. And common skilling program for all students in winter, typically ICT skills. Everybody needs to send mail, receive mail, do Excel sheet, write a Word document, save it, convert it to PDF, so on, so many things. Okay. So students were, all this was done to keep the students academically active about 300 days a year minimum. Some students who were localites who didn't want to go home, even the other days they would come and say, we want to spend time either in the lab or with the faculty to learn few things. So what, again, we keep mentioning that academics is very poor quality. And one of the measures for improving the quality was this. We pick some of the best books used for teaching. Okay. For example, Amartya Sen's book on development as freedom, which is not used even in Mysore University. Okay. And we had another book by Muhammad Yunus on World Without Poverty, and other book by Sheshadri, Uras. Apparently, this Swiss person, Urs Hereli, has written a very good book. It was very expensive. So I wrote a mail to him saying, this book is very much needed for our course. Our course is like this. And we simply cannot, we are in Mysore, in a very tier 4 college. And our students are from very moderate socio-economic background. We simply cannot afford your book. Can you make some help on this? So he replied back very clearly, says, I'm very happy for your course. My book, I will send a PDF copy of my book to you. You can distribute it to your students and let me know what the feedback is after using it. So see, this is really what it is. We don't make efforts to reach out. There are so many people willing to help us. We don't know how to ask, what to ask. Okay. There are more people interested in helping and doing things correctly than the number of people who seek this help. Okay. We also had an excellent board of studies, because typical board of studies comes from university, which unfortunately is filled with mostly stupid people. Okay. who will resist any change, any progress, anything new. So I purposely kept two young PhDs, one from Germany and one from USA in Board of Studies, because anyway, they were my students. And because of their presence, the regular viewers members from university simply kept quiet. They would come, attend the meeting, collect the TADA and walk out. They never objected because they were very afraid of facing these people. Okay. And that's the way you need to make change. We also had excellent lab with internet facility because the lab and the internet facility was done by students. I used the money not to build the lab, but I used the money to put all the money into hardware resources. And I told the students, you can make the internet facility, the wiring and the router and all that by yourself. I will spend money. Let's not waste money on implementing, because that much money, which is approximately 20%, can be used for other resources. So students made the internet themselves. They were so confident of that. Of course, the wire was on the floor and it was not concealed wiring, all that, but it worked. And commerce, BA, BCom students implementing internet in a lab. Oh, they were so happy to touch technology and actually learn how to do it well. Okay. So we had a mixture of whiteboard, PPT, lot of internet reading. Everybody had internet access. And the course was also, every course that we did focused a lot on additional reading. And there was no excuse because the internet provided material. We had a lot of discussion and practical case studies as a mode of learning rather than just covering the syllabus. Okay. It was also self-learning and incremental learning, meaning 20% of the syllabus was not completed, was told that it will not be completed. But the 20% which will not be completed would always come for test and exam. So people had to learn what was not taught and they had to learn on their own. So they found out an important skill called learning to learn. See, that's the most important skill in any education. If you can learn by yourself, that is, you learn the skill to learn by yourself, you have finished education. There is no need for you to sit in the class and beat. Of course, you will have doubts, you need clarification, you need refinement, sophistication, all that. Learning to learn by themselves is the most important skill of any education, which is exactly what is not given in today's college, school, and it can never be given through online education. That's the problem, okay? Reading and comprehension skills and lot of experiential learning. Whatever we could put into experiment and practice as components of learning, we didn't miss it. And for the first time in any university in India, we had a student participation in board of studies. One of the senior, very mature student I had asked him to be part of board of studies so that a student will clearly tell what is happening in the course, what is happening in other classes, what is happening in. Students don't lie. Students want good teaching, comfortable teaching, good learning, and good behavior from students, from faculty. They are not interested how much seventh pay, sixth pay they got, TADA for teachers. That is not their business. And the politics of teachers, they are not interested. So without a voting, I allowed a student to be in, and that boy was not only serious, he gave very balanced and very interesting feedback, saying certain subjects, if they are not taught well, they should not be in the syllabus because it's a waste of credits. But if you want a particular subject to be retained, he clearly said, get some other teacher to teach because the present teacher who's teaching it is not making it effective. Very good feedback. That's the kind of feedback needed to improve the education. So the progress has been reasonably good. Some research and industry interaction started. One subject under self-study, mentored, done already, and a second self-study course initiated. We also, in parallel, I could do some students under my, this is outside the regular course. We had very interesting field workshop. I'll come to that. Then field projects at a place called Timbuktu. I'll come to that. And as I said, the entire department computer networking was done by students. All students have passed the semester exam so far. And availability of teachers' time to students is significant, and number of other issues sorted by faculty. Some student had problem of domestic issues, which was preventing her from concentrating or taking more serious attention on the subjects. So things like that were sorted. Two students had economic issues. I managed to get industry scholarship for two of them for the entire 2 years so that they could pay their fees in time and also have some money for their food and living, and they could actually concentrate better and pay more attention to them. So these are the things that are very important to make sure. Now you do all this, there is no excuse by a student not to learn. Okay, so this is an example of a workshop that we had in Melkote. This is the inauguration of the workshop. You can see here there's no AC, there is no sofa, red carpet, nothing. 3 chairs and a chief guest. The chief guest is also very interesting. He's no more, but he's Surendra Kaulgi, who's running an NGO called Janpada Seva Trust in Melkote, which was looking at physically handicapped children, but today they are looking at abandoned children and skilling in khadi and other things. What is more important is the most expensive part of the seminar inauguration was this banner, which was about 20 rupees. And very interesting, Surendra Kaulgi was actually mentor to Nitish Kumar, who is now the Bihar Chief Minister for 20 years. Because Surendra Kaulgi was Jai Prakash Narayan's personal secretary. Okay. So you need to get interesting chief guests. If you get your principal, your registrar, vice chancellor, you have already told your seminar is not serious. Okay? It is a formality, and you support and encourage bureaucracy and other things. Okay. So as I said, it's a residential workshop. And you see here, we did not have a proper screen. And we have kept the projector on the Godrej foldable chair, a very rudimentary facility. But what is important is two things. What is being taught and who is the person who is delivering it. The person who is delivering it is Deepak Malgan, who is expert on environmental economics from University of Maryland. So he spent about 8.5 hours on that day, morning till evening, with lunch break, tea breaks, all that. And with a rudimentary facility, most of the students are sitting on the floor, and he's also not using mic. But very important, because no university in India gets a resource person like that. Deepak Malgan's guide is Herman Daly, who was nominated twice for the Nobel Prize in Economics. Okay. Whereas you get the resource persons who are probably your guide or somebody who's most likely very mediocre or pathetic. Okay. This was in the evening times where we had to use the projector. The morning session was held by an interesting student, Doctor of Engineering, Puneet Singh from University of Karlsruhe in Germany. He's also my student. And you can see all the students sitting on the Jamkhana in a pergola, but I mean, he's so rare that he's one of the few people in the world to be invited to be a faculty in Indian Institute of Science now. That's the caliber of people you. So you need high quality resource persons. You don't need people to do an activity. It's waste of money, waste of time. If you have the right person and the right topic, then it doesn't matter where you do, but this is it. Okay. So this is the morning time seminar room. The other was a single room inside. Uh, so all the students spend the whole day talking and interacting. That's how you learn. You don't learn sitting inside a classroom. Okay. And they spent a good 14 hours with each of them over 2 days. This is a seminar room. Okay. So continuing, people who spend time in such an atmosphere and with such attitudes will also do very interesting things. So one of the students who had taken climate as a self-study, his name is Joy Montero. Okay. So he wanted to do something interesting. So I said, okay, something interesting cannot be in the classroom. Something interesting cannot be in the college, because college can do mostly routine things, many times routine and useless things, but you will get 80 marks. But you want to do something interesting, you must go to a very interesting environment, very challenging environment. And was he prepared for it? So he agreed, and I said, okay, you can go do your 1 year project in a place like this. This is a small community village. Its name is Timbuktu. It is 300 kilometers from Mysore, 200 odd kilometers from Bangalore, just inside Andhra border. It's a place called Penukonda, which is on the Andhra Karnataka border, just after Penukonda. And this is the location where the community is. This is a school building. These are faculty living quarters, and these are student dormitories. You can see this is a forest patch. You can also see the hillock here, which has no trees. See, about 20 years back, this forest patch was like this. All this forest has been regrown by school children there. Okay. And there is a small lake here. And in the little of the it's a dry, it's about 75 kilometers from Pavgada, for those of you who are in Karnataka. This lake occasionally overflows into a small stream during monsoon. We met an old man here who said 70 years back was the last time he saw water in the lake. And for the last 70 years, it has dried out. It is only because of the forest grown by children here now that there is water back in the lake. So this is the caliber of students. And you will also notice there are no electricity lines. There is no piped water. Okay. So this community is so isolated that it will, even today, it doesn't have electricity or piped water. So water is something that they rejuvenate because of regreening, plus open well that they draw water for. Borewell is not there because there is no electricity, but they have 1 or 2 hand pumps. So I asked him to go and work here and find an interesting climate-related technological solution. This is the entry of the village. It says, live simply so that others may simply live. This is a problem with us. We have developed a very bad VIP culture. You do a 1 day seminar. 50% of the money goes to inauguration and valedictory, where you may have 1 idiot or 2 idiots being felicitated. All the money should go to the resource person and the food and the other expenses, not to support VIP culture. And a very interesting person, as I said, you have to spend time with interesting person to do interesting things, is the Subbaraju, who is a school teacher there. Subbaraju is interesting because he's a BTech from IIT Madras in civil. MTech and PhD in IIT Bombay in mechanical engineering, and he was my hostel mate and my roommate. And after his PhD in IIT, he went to become a village school teacher. And then he said, I don't want to be a burden. So many of us were paying him money monthly, and he was drawing a salary of 2,000 rupees a month. So that is enough for me because they give food and accommodation in the village. And I love to spend time with school children. And this is enough. That's commitment. See, when you have that level of commitment, miracles happen. With us, with seventh pay scale, eighth pay scale, TADA increase, other issues, what are we doing? We have made a joke out of ourselves. We have made a joke out of the education. So he went to work with Subbaraju, and Subbaraju suggested the following. He said, can you give electricity to our community? When you say electricity, it is basically light. Can you provide lighting both for the forest path and lighting inside the buildings? We have very limited budget. I want you to be very efficient with the use because we can't afford too much money for this. So the student who is Joy took up the task and he spent little more than 6 months designing lamps. You see the lamp here? This whole thing is bamboo. This holder is wood. Only 3 LED lamps, and it is put on top of a tree, which is like mast lighting, which you see in traffic junctions in cities now. Okay. This is for illuminating the space. But if you want to illuminate a small portion, he also designed lamps like this. You can see this bamboo. If I cut this portion of the bamboo and here it becomes like this, then I cut half of it, put the LED lamp there. And the holder is bamboo. Everything is locally available. In fact, now students in that school make such lamps and sell it into nearby villages during holidays. And the nearby villages are 7 to 8 kilometers away, nearest village. So class 5 students actually design this on a woodworking lathe and make lamps. And all this is grown locally, except the lamp portion, which is electronic. And they have very interesting things. You can see here, this is inside the school. This patch of land is about 20 feet by 20 feet. And the plant which is growing here is brinjal. So the school is interesting because along with free admission, the school is free, no fees, free boarding and lodging. Not only that, every child, girl or boy, is given a plot of land 20 by 20, 20 feet by 20, 400 square feet land is given so that children are taught how to grow vegetables. They not only grow vegetables, every child has what is called a vegetable passbook. So that passbook records which child grew which vegetable in how much quantity and how much of it was bought by the school. And that is recorded in a vegetable passbook. And the money equivalent of that for that day, for that price and that quantity is deposited in the child's bank account, which is in a post office account, which is about 25 kilometers away. So once a week, one of the accountant staff in the school takes all this data, goes and deposits that money in each individual account in the post office in a small village called Channakotapalli. Okay. Not only that, that place has forest like this, where a lot of cattle come every day, stray cattle, forest cattle come to graze. So what the students do is interesting. Not only they grow vegetables, they have another passbook, which is cow dung passbook, dung passbook. So they collect dung and come and fertilize the plants. So dung is weighed. So how much dung student brought, price for that again deposited in the bank account. So it's a complete bootstrap where the students learn the class, attend the class with interesting teachers. They get free food. Part of the food is grown by them. They get money because they have done labor like bringing dung, and there are other labors involved. Plus, they also have very good schooling. So this is the Joy who spent time. This is the girls' dormitory. And there is one more like that. And these are the students. Mostly they are from children of agriculture laborers. Many are orphans. And quite a few of the students are from single parent because that region is Naxal infested. And many have lost their fathers in Naxal fight. And you will also see not a single plot of land is left unproductive. You can say here, as soon as the building ends, you will see here a terrace built for all the vegetables and plants which need terrace cropping. Okay. So Joy spends sufficient time understanding what they need, how it can be done, how it is to be economically very viable, plus how it will address the climate issue because he was focused on climate. This is what he finally came up with. So this is the electronic circuitry which was developed and designed by him, which individually got an award itself. Plus, he designed something interesting. He brought a new component which is called the proximity sensor, which does the following. What it does, he put lamps everywhere here, and the proximity sensor does the following. Whenever a person is close to the lamp, 6 feet radius, the body heat will switch on the lamp. After they move away 6 feet, the lamp will go off, which means the whole lamp light system is like firefly. Only when somebody is near and they need a lamp, 6 feet away, it glows. After they pass, it will switch off. So 95% of the time, all the lamps are off. Lamps are on only when it is needed and at a place where it is needed. And this was an amazing design. Today, these things are coming. Many hotels have this, that when you are not in the room, it will switch off the electricity by itself. This is a new thing in 2020, but this was done in 2007. A very interesting design he came up with, which minimizes the energy, very energy efficient. Therefore, global warming is much lowered, so on and so forth. Okay. So we had problems. We need more faculty to look at more other things. I am from technology and science background. Okay. We also need interaction with NGOs and voluntary organizations, software companies, so on. We also need to internationalize this program because similar needs are there in a country, in a continent like Africa. Africa needs this kind of education, not the kind of education we give now, which is not used. Okay. Little more of industry sponsorship, so on and so forth. Oh, when was this done? This was done back with the years 2007 to 9. We did so well. We got such international attention. My 5-year project, I finished in 2 years and walked out. close the project because the principal and the management were disgusting. The principal actually stopped my salary because perhaps he got very jealous and ashamed of his performance. And so he made sure that I would walk out. However, I still do reforms and experiments wherever I am. And what we did in 2007 to 9 is what NEP 2020 is planning to do. Okay. You have to be interdisciplinary because interdisciplinary is the only way to solve. Disciplinary subjects have no future. Okay. And fieldwork is reality. You must expose students at all levels to reality. You just can't say that everything has to be learned within the classroom and everything interesting cannot be taught in the classroom. And outreach is a must, which means you need to reach the benefits of your learning to outside. And very important is to have a scheme which is earn while you learn, because today most private institutions, it's unaffordable. You cannot pay the kind of fees because even if you pay a lot, they teach very little. And most institutions, we don't teach anything meaningfully, still charge a lot. So economic barriers are too much now, including middle class will not be able to manage. And you need to customize the curriculum. You have to include a lot of localization, which is the stupid thing which CBSE does. Sitting in Delhi, finding a curriculum and syllabus which suits the Delhi students is a disaster for the rest of the country. The educational needs of a tribal in HD Kote Taluk is exactly different from opposite of what the educational needs of a student in Hauskas or Ramkrishnapuram in Delhi. How can people be so stupid that everybody has to learn the same thing? And invariably, people from Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras, Bangalore, Hyderabad have a significant advantage over others. This is what is happening for the last 70, 80 years. Customize the curriculum, include localization and action knowledge, meaning whatever you learn little, you have to put it into practice. Only then it has no point in knowing a lot and ability to do very little. Okay. Now, action knowledge reinforces confidence in students and brings about relevance in curriculum. So what has really happened to one, particularly Joy, who took up such interesting tasks? Joy did very average marks in his undergraduate program. But I told him, you have done very interesting things. Why don't you apply to Indian Institute of Science? He said, they will not even consider my application. I don't have that high marks or score and all. I told him, you apply, you leave it to me. At least I will ensure that you get a call for interview. And I'm sure when they see what you have done and how you approach a problem and how challenging environment you are willing to put yourself to solve a problem, they may appreciate it. So he got an interview call and I was not surprised that in the selection list, he was number one. And he did his master's there. And then he did his PhD in climate. Then he went to Stockholm Environmental Institute, which is the world #1 environmental institute, for his postdoc. Then he had a job offer from Indian Institute of Science, which he refused. So he didn't take up that, but he took up a job in which he felt was a better place for him. So he is now a faculty in IISER Pune, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, because he says opposite to IISER is the Indian Tropical Meteorology Institute, which has India's largest supercomputer for climate and weather calculation. He said, I need access to that. So I want to be in IISER rather than in Indian Institute of Science. So, and he's from a small locality called Bogadi, for those of you who know in Mysore. It's a small locality in the outskirts. So a very, very average student doing extraordinary work is only because of the type of education system. This is where we are failing. We have a lot of talent. We get 40 students in a class, at least 35 are really talented. But because we have very, very stupid and stereotype, monotonous education pattern, most likely decided either in Delhi or Bangalore, depending on state or center, we have all these problems. Most of the talent don't like what we are doing. They have no interest in studies. They don't learn, not because they don't want to learn, because they know very well if they learn, they will have a good career or a future prospect. But because we have a very, very passive, very pathetic system of teaching, learning, evaluation,